Addiction thinks in circles, whereas invention thinks in spirals.
Yes. Yes.
And
Yes.
I
Yes.
love it. And spiral is not one dot, it's actually one seed becoming bigger and bigger and bigger
Mhm.
and bigger and bigger and bigger.
So I'm grateful for that. And then two, just the pain just reminding me like this body is so amazing.
Where else can you go
Hmm.
other than inside? And
Hmm.
when you're so almost like forced to face yourself, you find lots of love. Speaking of,
Yeah. Speaking of Jinky 12, by the way, for everybody. But we were having a conversation about fascia and memory. If you guys don't know, fascia is like the sheath that kind of connects over your muscles. Like it's a tissue sheath. And when we're tight and locked up or we're not moving throughout the day, that fascia just becomes, it can actually become calcified after like decades of not moving correctly. And so masseuses have talked about this. They'll find people that haven't moved, like expanding their chest, for instance, because they're at a desk all day. And she'll go to release and it's just calcified. It feels like bone structure.
wow,
Yeah.
it is actually that dangerous
Hmm.
to not pay attention to it. And you're right. It's like less you drink water, it becomes harder. It's like the jello.
Hmm.
And it's like that. I don't know. Have you ever tried compote? Compote is made of the fruits and it's with water. And we make it as a remedy for the winter time.
Hmm.
It's like a tea, but it's fruits. So you put plums in, you put apple, and then you boil it with water so much until it becomes actually
Oh, okay.
the jello, but that jello still contains the water, and the fascia, if you don't have the water, it dries out completely and it's not movable, and it puts back your body, which I didn't know, it puts back your body to the postures that are not healthy for you. So
Mm.
your muscles around it, they cannot even stretch or grow in it too. So it has to, you have to really, I had no idea, but I will tell you, after that class, I would put that class prior to any vinyasa class. And I totally didn't know. I totally didn't know what it was all about. But now I understand the benefit of it, actually paying attention to it and dedicating your time and intention to it. I was wide awake for hours. So today was 6 hours.
Hmm.
Yesterday was 6 hours, and you're constantly like thinking, and you're intuitively your intention is sits on where the pain is, and it's
Hmm.
all about relaxing it and allowing that fascia to actually stretch out across your body. It starts from your toes. Your feet are so important, which I didn't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Feet. Ah, isn't it interesting how we connect our life and everything
Hmm.
that we do in life with jinkies?
Right.
Mind
Right.
blowing.
Did you find when you were sitting for hours, did you contemplate with number 12 before you went, or did you have anything that we've worked through come up?
I read the 12 before I left.
Oh, wow.
But when I was there, that was interesting. Again, scary. I thought 11 was scary, but this one is
Yeah,
not.
this one's.
Yeah. But I didn't contemplate about Gene Keys. I actually had visions during the meditative states, because you enter the meditation and then you just enter the space and void. And this is how you kind of start, like, just like relax, releasing and
Hmm.
releasing and
Hmm.
releasing. And more, I intentively put my mind to whatever pain that it was. It cracked open something. And I just kept envisioning certain things that I never thought I would actually think of.
Hmm.
So I'm more curious to see what will this bring, really, and I'm very open to it. But yeah, I didn't contemplate about Jinky at all.
Yeah, you look like different today.
Yeah,
Yeah, you look fresh,
restored.
restored, refreshed,
So
balanced.
it's yin yoga.
Yeah.
Thank you. I was dead tired last night, but today I was like full of energy and I was like, how can I do this? Yes, you can when you restore your energy back. Highly
Yeah.
recommend. If
Yeah.
I ever end up teaching, you're free to come and join my class
Yeah, I definitely
anytime you
will.
want.
Yeah.
Okay, let's dive in.
Okay.
Sir.
Okay. Jinky 12. So we're diving in first with the shadow of vanity, which
Hmm.
there's a lot here. And like all shadows, we'll probably spend a long time going through it. But I didn't actually want to start in the beginning because something stood out to me,
Hmm. That's interesting.
which was, let me find it here. Okay. Vanity does have an arch enemy, which is love. Vanity keeps you from truly loving another because it keeps you isolated. You may be beautiful, intelligent, and virtuous, but still with vanity, you'll remain defended against others. The more evolved your consciousness becomes, the subtler and therefore more powerful your vanity becomes. So it's like this shield for our ego, and as we climb the mountain higher, the higher it finds subtler and subtler ways to follow us or stick with us. And Richard described it as like lichen on rocks, which if you've ever tried to clean a rock that has like a forest moss on it, which in Hawaii we have all over, it's like you're just yanking it and there's roots that go into the rock structure. It's so deep. So I found
Wow.
that to be a very profound metaphor for the vanity.
What does it mean to you? That exact sentence that you read.
Hmm.
I highlighted that one too, by the way.
Hmm. To me, it's just a reminder and a moment to reflect, or I should say, it's a reminder to reflect at each moment, whether we feel we're ascending or we're descending, or we're doing well or we're doing bad. Um, just to be considerate of this shadow of vanity and what it might be blocking, because while it's a trap as we feel like we're high on the mountain, if we feel like we're low in a valley, it can be a trap too, because it's as easy as, oh, I can just kind of release this tension around guarding my ego and looking at another, because the way Richard talks about it is a self-love, but it's a lower self. It's the small lowercase s self. And it's not this bigger self, which is a love for all others. So like I think much like stretching or exercise, we can learn how to flip, and we'll probably fall into this state of small self vanity very easily. But if we have moments of reflection or we meditate, we can use this as a practice to just kind of flip our image of self and then love the other and drop the momentary trappings, the shield, as he describes it, the shield over our ego.
So did you find the vanity to be the actual love for the ego? Love of ego.
No, not initially. Um, because, and this is going back, because initially when we learn to love ourselves at first, it feels good. It feels like the right thing to do, the right move. Um, and it's the love of your own uniqueness. Like, oh, I'm standing out. I got my identity. But it's a natural progression, right? Because as kids, we don't have much uniqueness. We don't have much individuality. We um like the way my 10-month-old sees the world is he's enmeshed with it. You know, it's not like him. I am separate from this thing that I'm looking at. He's just beginning to glimpse it, but the concepts haven't landed yet. And at some point, we become programmed out of that knowledge and information that is in our heart, that we're all pieced together like fascia.
Like, okay. So what is the uniqueness for you then?
Oh, the uniqueness of self.
Yes.
Well, and this speaks to the subtle nature of vanity. It's like I used to write and I would just free write, just allow whatever came through. And often what would come through is like this feeling or this I would trace kind of someone trying to shine a light and find me, like discover me, like who I am. And
Mm.
I was like prideful about the fact that no matter how much someone thinks they know about me, they'll never find me. And it was like
Mm.
pride, and then there's also that vanity just like exploding out, like just like I'm unique. No one knows who I am. So it's for me to speak to like a generalized what is the uniqueness? I can't. It's
Mm.
that's the nature of the word itself, right? It's like each person's gonna feel, no matter how much talking we do, that shadow will still be there and it will be saying, but you're not that. You're something else. You're different. You're beyond that.
I see. No matter how we identify to be one and only unique, the only one, the shadow will always tell you there's another side of you
Mm,
that either belongs to the collective or that you really are not that unique.
mm,
It's interesting. He's saying is that the love, how do we say this? We're all nowadays where everybody's all about self-love,
hmm
self-love, self-care, self. And coincidentally, we live in an Aries season, which is
hmm
all about self, right? And your Aries ascendant.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. I wish I can meet someone with this key
hmm
so I can understand the difference.
Luca has it, but I don't think it's early for him yet. It's his
Oh,
sphere of radiance.
oh, he's radiance.
Hmm
Does he have 11 and 12 then?
11 is in purpose, yep.
Oh,
12 is in radiance.
wow.
Hmm
Wow, 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 wow.
hmm
But just somebody who is mature, right? So
hmm
who is established, I guess, as a ego or a personality and is identifying himself as this is me. I
hmm
want, I wish I can see, or I wish it can give me the example of what does this key and shadow mean, that
hmm
it's different from me. Otherwise, I'm identifying with it too, because we're all unique, right?
hmm hmm
And I wish I could see the play that the shadow is grabbing this person or aspect of life or a key and constantly following you while your true nature and essence is reaching towards the siddhi automatically.
hmm
So it's very much push and pull. Imagine having a shadow follow you all the time, which is metaphorically, our shadows are always following us if we are headed towards the light
hmm
or towards the enlightenment. So the shadow will always be behind us, following us. But this specific key made me think is that are we again, are we doing the right thing for trying to be unique rather than following or adapting the massive consciousness and evolution of it
hmm
rather than
hmm
trying to separate ourselves and be just in love with our uniqueness. Example,
hmm
while I was reading entire time, I was thinking about my life key, which is 37. And I'm like, but I'm supposed to break all the rules. And as a rule breaker and traditional rule of all traditions that exist right now, I am supposed to be unique in what I'm doing, just the way I'm doing it. So, but wait a
hmm
minute, isn't that the shadow? That's is the vanity. So it got me all mixed up and confused. But I'm thinking, is it only for this key, or is it really applying to all of us too? So I got all like wrapped
Uh,
up around it. Am I
yeah.
doing it right or am I doing it wrong? What am I following? And is this the true?
hmm
It is about learning to love yourself, which is the true definition of vanity. However, vanity only stops being vanity when you realize that the love To love yourself is actually to love everyone else. A revelation demanding a quantum leap out of yourself altogether.
Mhm. Yeah, and it is quantum, and it's quantum on either side. So it's as easy as like you can set yourself up to be very accepting and loving of each person that you meet, like having that intention. And this is a good practice for me because I've always kind of hated people. Like I've had that Ram Dass story, like Neem Karoli Baba told Ram Dass, tell the truth and love everyone. And he was like, I can't. I don't love everybody. Oh yeah,
How?
you had your thumb on
I
the drink.
again me.
You
Why is
put
it
your
not
thumb
coming to you?
up.
I drink. Gosh. Wait,
Um,
wait. So it says I can't love everybody. Oh yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
so he gave him just two. He's like, these are your two things, is tell the truth and love people. And he went out and he's like, oh, that's easy. And he tried it and then he got so angry and he came back to Neem Karoli Baba and was like, I can't do this. I can't do both at the same time. And he's like, well, that's your sadhana then. That's your work is learning to love other people. So I find that resonates with me. So often I'll make an intention when we go out in public. Okay, I'm going to look at everyone and just find a way to love them. And because my initial
Mm,
reaction is to judge people, and we do that to protect ourselves, to differentiate ourselves, like create this uniqueness. Like, oh, I'm loving myself. Look how good I'm
mm,
doing. Um,
mm. So how do you do that?
I would just look at them and usually just take a second and if there's eye contact, like in Hawaii, it's easy. You can just throw a shaka and that makes everything better. There's nothing like it. And then to a smile. And if people don't resonate, okay, the initial quantum thing is judgment. And then he says, as soon as you do that, you fall out of the purity in the city. So it's like, okay, that quantum pull down into the shadow, but you can quantum be pulled up into the city and turning it and saying, okay, can I make this person like, what would their childlike self be like? What were they like as a child, or in their wounded self, can I offer them compassion? Or can I reflect and think, oh, I've been angry like that sometimes too. Like maybe they have who knows? Maybe they have an ear infection. Maybe they have shit on their shoe. Who knows? Who knows what's going on?
Can you love them when you have a shitty day, when you don't love yourself much?
It's very hard.
And is the love coming from your head, ego, or heart?
Yeah.
How
Yeah,
do
to
we
love self.
learn how to love? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think from my experience, there is an element of learning to love yourself is part of the path. And he talks about when we when we judge our own shadows or judge the shadow, and say it's good or evil or right or wrong, we're falling into the trap of judgment, which is not placing us, we're not able to then ascend into a higher state because we're thinking it's like the layers of vanity. You can feel it. You think you've like, oh, I'm doing good today. I've loved everybody. I've loved myself. I've done it. But essentially, to answer that question, how to learn like truly loving myself has been a huge help. And in finding ways to look at my trauma and offer that like self-parenting that we've talked about before, um, to heal the situation. And then initially it's like a hatred for the person that caused it, just
Mhm.
allowing that to be. And then eventually kind of fades. And then I learned to see now they were wounded and that's why they acted that way. Now can I offer them that same level of compassion and care that I gave myself in that earlier state? And it just compounds, it just continues on. And then I think like when things are going lovingly, I think it happens automatically. And until we get triggered and we fall out again, and which we will.
Mm, mm. Do you feel the shift from when you love just because you're supposed to be empathic right now, even though you're pissed, versus when you really go like, hey, wait, the love is
Yeah, yeah.
outside my body,
Yeah.
and it's either a projecting or pushing. It's a force, it's a
Hmm.
weight,
Hmm.
it's like not yours. You're not connected with it. But yet if you come back and you say, but this feeling, this shadow, and this and this and this shadow is mine, and I'm taking it all in. This
Hmm.
is me. And as a part of me, I need to learn how to love that and eat shame for breakfast, right? It's always like, it's a good way. Like the my trainer is saying this all the time, and I'm like, okay, not only eating shame for breakfast, eating grief and sadness, and I'm just gonna name it all. And it's like, it's almost like when you learn almost all of this that it's you disassociated with, you come back to you
Hmm.
become whole with shadows and gifts and CDs and all this
Hmm.
potential. You become whole, and then you start loving from here. It's
Hmm.
almost like, do you feel the shift and difference between when we think we need to love because that's what we need to do versus when you really
Yeah.
genuinely it comes from this heart and your sound of your voice changes and the way you breathe too.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's interesting. It's on point that you mentioned like owning our shit because usually when I'm in that the initial part that you talked about where it's like you're doing it from your head. You're thinking you're doing it correctly, but you're
Mm,
still pissed off.
mm,
The switch for me is usually like a letting go of shielding my ego, really. It's like it feels like a letting go and then maybe there's tears. My eyes will water, and I can feel like saliva coming, like just physiologically, like describing the effects. Shoulders will draw back, kind of slump, and just allowing the weight of the moment to kind of hit. And then, like you said, owning up to the emotions and the variety of shadows that are there. And it's like once you own it, then okay, now throat chakra opens up.
mm.
So it doesn't matter what you say, it's the tone of voice. It's like what the energy that you carry as you speak and as you address people. And this is an experience that I've had is going out in public, like me versus Carly when we first started dating or when we were first together. I'm a big guy, but I had a small sense of my place in the world and was trying to protect it with my ego. So very shielded, big trap muscles like pulled up in my neck and very stiff, also very like guarded, very watchful. And when you go into a public space and you have that energy, people are going to reflect it or return it with something that feels protecting for them. Whereas when Carly goes into public, she's like heart open, she's smiling, she's looking at everyone, she's like hopeful. And she has these great experiences. And I'm like, I would get like almost annoyed. I'm like, how come all these people just come up and like give you stuff and talk to you?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's obvious now, and it's obvious talking about it as you're hearing it, but just to offer that, for me being honest about that situation for me, and maybe if you're listening, thinking about when you have people come up to you and they give you an energy that's, we call it negative or positive, just thinking about what you were putting out right before that moment happened. And that's not to
So
say that
true.
people can't come in and try to suck your energy. Like if you're vibing really high, like someone might come up to you and try to get some of that in a negative way.
Yeah. You know how I envision this? There's a vision of it. I actually have a picture. Layered floors.
Mm. Hmm.
And I don't know why we go up or down when it comes to lower or higher frequency. By default, our mind thinks, vertical. My mind thinks vertical rather than linear or horizontal. But it's almost like, what floor am I in? If
Hmm.
I'm in the basement out there, of course I'm gonna meet all the basement people, right? So of course, naturally, I attract all the fucking bullshit because I'm projecting bullshit. I am bullshit.
Yeah.
But it's like I'm fucking full of guilt. I think, and often, you know what happens is that often happens when I dive into a very deep trauma work. And I'm noticing that if I am diving into a book or a study on trauma or suicide, and simply because, you know, I always recollect the story and the personal story of my father too, and it's almost like I'm always getting to a points in life or where I really am curious about it and I want to understand it. And as I descend into the lower frequency to understand it, it's like I almost attract people that will talk about it, elaborate on it.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm like, and when I realized that, I was like, ooh, I'm deep down.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to park for too long, right?
Mm-hmm.
So instantaneously, I know that my attraction and my field is attracting all these people because my energy field is already at that level.
Mm-hmm.
So I am climbing back up to the higher floor of the whatever building that it is, and instantaneously people change.
Yeah.
And what you attract, what you give is what you attract to. It's beautiful to see that
Mm-hmm.
you have that power to actually change, and it comes down to, you remember one of the shorts that I did? I really like that one, and how we bent each other's reality
Mm-hmm.
and each other's like relative space that
Right.
we exist to. So if my energy is heavy, of course I'm bending everyone's space that they inhabit. And of course, people don't want to have heavy people around them. They'll run away and go and be lighter.
Yeah.
So if I'm heavy on my own, then of course I'm going to attract and just like kind of find the same energies that linger around. So
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
it's interesting. But how does this connect to the vanity itself? Do you think people who love themselves so much for being unique, but are stuck in vanity as a shadow, attract the same type of people? And can we touch base on narcissism? Because it's a
Yeah,
question mark
that
for me.
sounds similar. Um, so I'm gonna try to reframe it. So someone that has figured out self-love and they're doing well, they think they're doing well and they have so much love for themselves. And then what question comes out of that, just to clarify?
So so how do, okay, let me rephrase the question. How do I know I'm in the shadow of vanity versus I'm just loving myself so much? Like I love myself so much. Do you think I live in the shadow?
Um, I'm sure there's a part of you that it's like we're touched by it always. Just to say that. I'm realizing in this Jinky, just to kind of sidebar real quick. In the shadow, with him saying by judging the shadows as inherently bad, we're missing the gift that lies within it. I was like, oh shit, I've been doing that.
Ooh, say
So
more.
let me stop.
Say more. What do you mean?
Well, it's like, okay, number 8, mediocrity, and
Mm.
looking and saying, oh, wooden, repressed, not showing emotions, not being childlike and curious. Yes, that's really bad. I don't want to do that anymore. Yeah.
It's almost like you're
Comparison.
rejecting because you want to be perfect, better,
Hmm.
which is itself a shadow.
Yes.
Oh,
So that
fuck.
that does that fall under the self-love? It's like you want better for yourself. It almost feels like that question can't really be answered by me, at least.
Mm, can I add a different perspective?
Hmm.
Vanity, specifically for vanity and self-love and the uniqueness. It's when I didn't feel that my love for self was ego driven, was when I was in a deep suffering for love. And when I had the heartbreak, or when I had the emotions of loss, of grief, when it was really hard for me, is that the self love that I experienced then was very different from self-love that I experienced when I was successful and everything was fine. So two completely different love for self.
Mm-hmm.
I was soft on one side when I was the most hurt. I was soft, gentle, kind, uh, sensitive, empathetic, sympathetic, you name it. I did all these gentle caring and nurturing for myself that I've never done when I had it all.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And when I had it all, I wanted more. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to do wellness, the health, the speaking. I'm going to read. I'm going to be intellectual. I'm going to be kind. I'm going to do the just to people, all of these things. And I'm going to just like, I don't know, go to spiritual school and do ayahuasca and all these different things that come with, I want to be better because I love myself so much, rather than when you're on bottom and you feel like your heart is breaking apart,
Mm-hmm.
and you're smiling at yourself because you're accepting that this is part of you and you're supposed to go through this process. The love there is so much bigger, but
Yeah.
so much invisible. Nobody knows about it. You don't express it. You just hug yourself and you're laying down. It's almost like you're laying down in a bed and you're crying and you're literally loving this part of you because it's so gentle. It's so fragile. It's so soft. It's so honey. It's
Mm-hmm.
pure honey rather than this side. So the different perspective for me was very much like, I have two sides of me. The one that I really enjoy when I'm able to turn around and say, you're suffering. Oh, honey, I let me hug you. Or,
Mm-hmm.
but there's a pearl within you in that shell of yours that it's unique to you and you only get to love it. You only get to see it. Nobody else gets to understand what you have hiding other than you. And that love for self, I think it's more the one that gets you out of the bed, or maybe gets you to the purity or the city level eventually, rather than I want to be better and I want to be perfect and I want to be a great citizen.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Well,
Yeah. To me, it feels like the soft one is more rich. Like you use the word honey. I'm like, oh, it's a great, like rich, viscous, like very slow moving. And
yeah.
the other one is more, it's like you're trying to fill every hole that exists, where if I fill these holes, then I can love myself even more. But
Mm,
it's almost like you're seeing on this side that there's nothing you can do. The depth is already there. There's no striving that's needed. It's like you're offering it. And then I think
yeah. Yeah.
to piggyback on that, why that helps you get out of the shadow is because that is a love you can offer to everybody. And you learn to offer it through compassion. And you don't need to then know about someone. It doesn't matter whether they have done X, Y, or Z, or whether they're just on the street. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. The soft, sad part of this type of love, love of that comes out of that. It's not a dark place. It's just so you enter the void, right? And you
Yeah.
enter of exploration of yourself that deep, like depth of it.
Hmm.
The only way to express it, and he connects this through language
Hmm.
and words and the art of it. Somehow, what I discovered through it was what I get to write about it for me. And yes, you can write a poem and write it down, or but my voice, the way I speak, is very different because it's speaking from this side of me rather than I want to go TED Talk and I want to put my points across because it's good for the humanity. And that will make me so unique because now I'm breaking the rules and I'm talking about non-monogamy. Like example, I'm just giving you the example. Rather than, but I can speak of this self-love through a simple poem about the flower. And that voice and sound of it and words will touch you on a very different level, which is not ever an intention for it. I
Yeah.
wrote the most and I created art the most in those states rather than when it's all fine and shiny.
And you, and it sounds like you created it for yourself. You didn't have a
Agenda.
He didn't have an agenda. Yeah.
Can you, did you ever get to that point in your life?
You're talking about the depth of compassion, the nurturing, and all that.
Yeah, when you all is left with you within you is to hug yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like I'm there right now. Um, and there's like multiple catalysts for why. But I just wrote a poem a week ago, and normally when I write poetry, it's this poem was out of like an anger, like a frustration, like I'm just pissed. And then it led to it's like starting with anger and the things I see that are wrong, and then it led into letting go and surrender. And it was a beautiful transformation. But until I gave voice to it, I was like, I need to record it with my own voice. So I use this microphone here and I recorded it once. And I thought that felt like a performance.
Wow.
I need to record it again and try to bring it more into my heart. And I got to this place of like depth of heart that felt so rich that I was like, I'm gonna record it again just for shits because it feels so good. And it wasn't like a riding cloud nine. It was like sadness and anger and lust and worry and fear. It was just like rich emotion and just feeling it in the words that came through when I wrote the poem. And it felt like art for the sake of art and art for the sake of a level of self-love. And even in the normally like the question is, okay, how should I post this on social media? Because I created art, I should share it. And this time I was like, I could, but I don't feel the need to. I
Ah,
think it will. I think it will. I'll put it up eventually, but for the moment, I'm just allowing it to be for me.
yeah. Because not every time you feel you need to share that side of you,
Yeah.
unless you put multiple different puzzles together. At least is how I feel for it. So I would look at the, like the candle,
Mhm.
and I would take a picture of it, and I would just meditate on it. And to me, it's art. And I would just this thing that I wrote with this picture that I took would all combine together.
Right. Mhm.
It makes total different sense. But I'm
Yeah.
excited to hear it.
Yeah, I'll share it at some point. Um, but speaking of throat, we both kind of dove into that, and this gene key is really tied in with the larynx. And he says there's a profound connection between the larynx, represented by the throat chakra, and the gonads, represented by the sex center. Um, the ancients
Mm.
say that long ago these two centers were in fact one, but that over time they separated and the larynx slowly closed. So it's interesting that by expressing your heart and your soul, how closely tied it is with the center of sex and the throat. Did you have any insight as you were reading that section?
So I don't know how it is for men versus women, but it's the vagus nerve,
Mhm.
and polyvagal theory talks about connection of the organs in the body with the prefrontal cortex and the expression that comes through the voice when it comes to expressing the sensations of the body.
Mhm.
So rather than you thinking that you're saying or expressing yourself through the sensations, through the sex and everything else, it's actually the body that likes the sound, its own form of the sound,
Hmm.
which is at the same time healing. And it's a whole another level of reprogramming your nervous system to know that it is safe to make a sound as
Mhm.
your parts of your body wants to express themselves in the specific times, in the specific zones, or in the specific moments, right? So I'm not surprised that it's interested, that it is connected. I'm worried that we don't know how to use it and how to connect the two back again, unless you really are reprogramming your entire nervous system and allowing yourself to relearning how to feel safe to actually express yourself through the sound, through your voice, through the chakra.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Beautiful.
What about you? Other than what does this mean for you?
I see it. I see it practically speaking, in Carly when we're getting together. I don't necessarily feel that resonance, or I don't feel like it's that powerful for men as it is for women. But there is something there. There is something there. Because we're
Mm,
only, at 20 months in gestation, we're basically the same being until, the gonads drop in the man and that start to separate, the different physiologies. But we start out looking very similar, so it would make sense that it would be true both for men
mm,
and women. It just might have different ways of affecting the experience or the physiology. So I find it very interesting. I don't think, like you said, I don't think there's enough attention placed on the healing ability of, especially for women, and feeling safe, of using that, and it speaks to the whole brokenness of our current depiction of what sex is in society and how it's supposed to be done. Like, if you could imagine an alien coming to Earth, they would, and they were trying to research and figure out what humans do and what they like, they would find pornography, and they would have a complete misguided idea of what sex is and what it can be. And that speaks to when kids are finding it these days, they're a bit like that. It's alien to them, it's foreign to them, and they're finding it for the first time, and they're all they know is this is what's done. And I think we need more teachers that are aware of this issue and can speak to it, or at least to just draw attention to it more.
mm. Yeah, it does come down to that safety and the safety environment. And even at the class today, many women, it was mainly women, many women come and they seek the answer. They seek the answer of what does it mean when you're feeling something that you don't understand, what
Hmm.
it is that you're feeling. And most importantly is like, what do you do with that information? And because we don't know, we react to it, and we fight or freeze, and we reject it right back because we're not educated to do it. We don't know what to how that there we don't know that there's a possibility that you can reprogram yourself. The
Yeah.
programming system of our nervous system in feminine bodies with vaginas are it's new. Its concept is not ancient. For hundreds of thousands of years, it's recent years that we actually reprogrammed to think that women should do specific things and be afraid of it from default, because you see it everywhere.
Yeah.
We can reprogram it too, but we really just need to allow that safe space and ourselves to find it. And it talks about the voice too often. There's a lot of women that have a clogged or blocked chakra, which is the
Hmm.
throat chakra, to express and speak because of the fear, and
Hmm.
fear of whatever, that there is a fear into the nervous system too.
Hmm.
I wanted to point out one thing here too. It does talk about the silence as the shadow too. And not only that, you can be very expressive, and your way of expression through the words and language can be very very unique,
Hmm.
very attractive, not to say attractive for the world, and because of its own uniqueness. But the vanity itself as a shadow can also hide in your silence.
Hmm.
So here's the way where you get to kind of get lost in the shadow of what it is that you're supposed to do. And it says, vanity also goes beyond words and can hide in silence. Sometimes your vanity is hidden in what you do not say.
Yeah.
It hides itself away in your thoughts and your feelings. And wherever there is self identification, there is vanity. So, how do we stop identifying ourselves with anything or everything that we know? Because the moment we start identifying ourselves for being more or being less, being unique or being different or being like everybody else, following, not following, all these different things. We spoke about this. I spoke very vocally about being your own thing and doing your own thing. And it's like, I am huge on it. But that is some sort of identification or self identification with something. And as soon as we identify with something, we actually are in the shadow of vanity.
Hmm. Wow. And that's Jinky 8 with style and exquisiteness.
Ah, which is this one now makes me think, do we really have our own keys that we should be worried about, or should we worry about all 64?
Well, I mean, to poke fun at your use of language, I don't know if we should worry about any of them, but they just being aware that they exist. And if they're in our profile, I think understanding the structure of the profile and how it can affect our life or how it leads us, because having this gene key as your life's work will look very different than having this gene key as your core wound. It would show up different and you'd have to deal with it very differently. So
Mm,
I think when
mm,
things are in our profile, I think they're there as like a deeper, richer catalyst for exposing growth and potential. Whereas if we find, I think in the contemplative journey, we can just open gene keys randomly and find something that resonates. And if we don't find something that resonates, really asking, what about this is foreign to me, or what about this doesn't fit with my view of who I am in this reality? But I
mm,
think we can find something in each one.
mm. So you're saying if you, our gene keys are unique on its own.
Yeah.
By default, we get them totally different. Like
Yeah.
everybody has a different gene key. That's uniqueness, which is shadow on its own. So are you saying if we don't have this gene key, not that we shouldn't be worried about, we should be aware of it and contemplate over it. But yeah, if this is not your life purpose, then don't worry about it.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Ah,
then, I think a good place to land for people that maybe are struggling with this, like, okay, do I just open up any gene key and get to work? Is look at for each shadow, look at the repressive and the reactive. Because I'll often tell you the story of, am I suffering in this shadow?
yeah,
Yeah. It's a good place
let's
to
talk
start.
about it.
Yeah, for sure. Repressive is elitist. So, and this is so interesting that there's two different types of vanity, coarse vanity and refined vanity. The repressive nature of the 12th shadow is the refined version, which emerges in certain characters as elitism. Um, elitism is vanity working undercover. These people remain detached. They don't make comments. They're very agreeable. This is the domain of the spiritually evolved. They've done a lot of work on themselves. And there's a little voice in the back.
Saying
Uh,
what?
you're so different. Good job. You've done it. You've done the work. Um, even being beyond a system, there's an element of pride and vanity there. Like, oh, I don't fit in your system. I don't fit in the religious structure. I don't fit in society. I am I am so unique. I and it's
I'm
interesting because it's like
special.
this isn't as easy as um how do I frame this? It's easy to paint the world a certain way and identify traps of ego or intelligence or structure. Like we could use religion, politics, um, power, money, sex, and kind of pull those apart and be like, okay, I found my way out of that trap. I found my way out of that system that gets people. Um,
Now I'm good.
yeah,
I'm
now I'm
better than
good.
anybody else.
And then maybe there's another layer to that, which is like, okay, I'm gonna do the work. And okay, I've read that book. I went on that retreat. I did that um, ceremony. I used this shaman to help me heal. I've looked at my past lives. I've done this. It's like, okay, done the work. One more layer of vanity. It's very refined. Yeah.
Yeah,
Very,
this
very,
one, very well.
very interesting.
Mm. I was surprised when I read this because it was almost like this is when you outwardly say all these things, you do all these things, but inwardly it's totally opposite.
Hmm.
It's like you're saying you're doing, you're showing off, you're really like scratching all these like things on the list. So your layer is higher, like you said. It's like you're kind of now much better, much bigger, like higher up there compared to everybody else. But yet inwardly, you are totally differently thinking, doing, feeling,
Hmm.
and nobody knows about it other than you.
Hmm.
So it's all your own separation from what you're showing versus what you're doing, the walk that you don't talk, the talk that you don't walk. And when he highlighted that this is the domain of the spiritually evolved people, those few who have done a lot of work in themselves, I there was like a slight layer of shame
Yeah.
that came with this. Like it's almost like, but who am I to say, because I read so much and traveled so many places and experienced all these workshops and doing all this yoga, who am I to say that I am better than you?
Hmm.
It's like, how, almost like, how dare I say this?
Mm.
And the layer was very heavy because I was like, what makes anybody spiritually evolved? And especially when you're expressing yourself as somebody who is so, or expressing yourself out loud that
Hmm.
you are very happy. Hence the last week's call, right? When we were talking about the friend who came and says, I'm really happy. It's like when you're expressively putting it out there, automatically you question, but wait, what's inside actually? What is the inside? When you say, I am living a happy life,
Yeah.
really? It's like, but if so, do you, why saying it? I guess it's like the question, right? So today I came very happy from Ying saying, oh my God, Ying is
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
best thing. But it's like, but that's, so now I evolved for extra 15 hours of Yin.
Hmm.
Shame on me, right? So it's almost like it gets you back to but to question when you express what it is that you're expressing, when I'm expressing myself, what it is that I'm expressing. Am I telling you that I'm better than you, but just saying, hey, I scratched another thing off my list? Or am I really just, should I just be quiet and not say anything, which is the silence of the
Yeah.
vanity?
Yeah, and it's understanding your own heart, I think is the answer there.
Yeah,
It's in your heart. So,
because it all comes down to the heart too.
mhm.
I wrote down, wow, watch out. That's my note. Watch out for spiritually evolved people. I was like, but how do you know? You never know.
Yeah,
Everybody's spiritually evolving anyway.
yeah.
Ah,
And just to get us one more time and one more layer. Well, because the shadow is so elusive, it is better not to think about it at all. Even the very thought that you might be overcoming your own vanity leads to more vanity. And here we are having a 2-hour conversation
ah.
about the gene key. Oh,
living in
I
it,
think it's beautiful.
living in it.
Yeah, I think it's beautiful though. I think the difference in approach to me is, am I interested in painting a story that I figured this out, or am I just going to show up and be curious?
Yeah. Just go with the moment of whatever that you're feeling
Yeah.
right now.
hmm
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Okay.
Malicious is the reactive nature. And I have a note here is that is it possible to use a gift as a shadow? Um,
Mm. And the gift is
discrimination.
discrimination.
Yeah. So it says the reactive nature of vanity can use the gift of this jinki, which is the gift of discrimination, as a means of hurting others.
Mm.
Whereas the elitist withdraws into silence out of fear of being seen as weak. These people openly use their substantial vocal gifts to inflict pain on others.
Wow.
So you're using the gift to get down to the shadow.
Um,
Maliciously.
mm, malicious, which is which yeah, it's making me think of like manipulation, right? Um, one of my favorite sci-fi series is Dune, and the movie just
Yeah.
second movie just came out. And the women in the story, the Bene Gesserit, they're like highly trained and very manipulative, and some would say malicious, but they have an ability to use their voice, and they can change tone, like can like understand each person, what will like really affect them, and shift their tone and their timbre and everything to get them to do what they want. And it just makes me think of that like as a clear
Mm,
example.
mm,
Although this, although this is a bit different because this is with the intent to inflict pain on others. It's almost like exclusively just to make others feel worse or feel bad.
mhm. It says it's beneath the real emotional power, and it is a God given talent for language and communication that is used maliciously to hurt others and get what it is that you want.
Yeah. So if you're out there and you have Jinky 12 with a 5 line, then you have to be very careful of this.
Just
Because
don't talk.
that 5 line, yeah. Don't talk, but don't be vain when you're silent either.
Yeah. Either way, either way, it's like pay attention. Oh gosh.
Yeah. It's interesting because now we're an hour in and it's starting to feel like when we first get into the city, we both look at each other or like, is there anything to say? Because it's almost like the vanity is so layered and so deep. You know, we've essentially explored it at this point. We've tapped it.
The CD?
The shadow here.
Oh, the shadow. The shadow.
The
Yeah. Do you have um do you have any like closing thoughts on the shadow itself for vanity? Like how would you remember vanity after this talk?
um I would think of it as quantumly connected to the heart and the throat, and also where is my love stemming from, and to what
Mm,
degree of gentle care is it, like what flavor does it have with it? Because I can say I love something or someone or myself, and if it doesn't have that depth of ownership of our shit and that like that surrendered, just like fuck. You know, this experience is very difficult. So just having that compassion is a good starting point. And then,
yeah.
like he said, not overstaying your welcome with thinking about vanity itself. I think that's a trap that exists in the spiritual journey is trying to
Hmm.
figure these things out with our logical minds, and instead, like by being present in the moment, we're emotionally connected and we're feeling our heart where it's at and allowing the moment to shift and change and trigger us if it's needed. If it's not needed, and it's not going to trigger us. We could just exist.
Hmm. Hmm. Closing thoughts for 12. If you have the 12 and you're almost not going to know, are you operating under shadow or a CD?
Yeah.
And you're always going to try to do your best either way. It's how I see it. It's almost like your best in the shadow will be your worst shadow. Your best CD will be your worst CD too.
Hmm.
If worst or best exists, but they are going to, it's going to become your part of you forever and always until the death of self or the death of ego. So from what I felt from this shadow is that you can easily get trapped in thinking that you're doing the wrong thing by being unique. But by knowing that this is the shadow of self, that you, no matter how much you try, you can easily sit and be operating under your shadow, but also accepting and letting go of the definition of the shadow itself too. And I think that's the beauty of the Jinkies, is as we are going through it and as we are really learning about ourselves and what scares us and what enlightens us or what gives us joy or happiness or it gives us that energy of uplift, it's almost like we can all operate a time of our life under each of these layers in shadows and the gifts and the cities too. But we're learning how not to get stuck in defining anything rather than allowing it to happen,
Hmm.
because the evolution is already happening.
Right.
It's already happening. So it's almost like, don't lose hope. Don't
Yeah.
lose hope, because it gets bigger and better and expansive, right? So if I just can't wait. I just can't wait to meet you. I can't wait to meet someone who actually has this key. I want to see the difference because I think I would be in awe of the beauty while they're in the depth of the shadow
Yeah.
from the other side, because it's so beautiful. The shadow itself can also be so beautiful, but it can also be so ugly and destroyable too. It's like this shadow specifically.
Mm.
Whew, that was
Ooh,
heavy.
that's good. Very good. Okay.
How about the gift called discrimination?
Discrimination.
Put the smiley
Um,
face next to it.
just as like a story for why for me this one is tricky. Much like 11, like I just had a hard time grasping it. And I'll tell a story of something that happened. I was invited to go on a trip to a spiritual retreat. It was over a weekend, and there was a certain group, and we were finding resonance with like me and this other person. We were finding resonance in some of the things we were learning about, and just curious about exploring more and expanding on it. And it felt like it was kind of positioned as like the highest possible invitation you could receive um in this realm. So we went, and we were expecting like the ability to sit at the feet of a guru and meditate and sit on the floor. And it was like a conference room deep underground, and you had to sit in chairs. Like you couldn't, there was like fire code, like you couldn't block the exits. Like we came in and we we stood out because everyone else is like business casual attire, like looking really nice, and we're like hippies. And I'm like, well, this is feeling really rebellious. Why isn't there one other like rebel here? Because if it's so we started to question it. And then we were like, let's just go and just kind of see what happens. And we sat down and it was like PowerPoint slide. And we were like, what's happening here? And it was like, we're gonna go through like six things to kind of level up your spiritual awareness or whatever it is. And number one was discrimination. And the girl that I was with, she just started throwing a fit about it. She's like, discrimination, this is such bullshit, like in her chair, quietly.
Mm,
Um, and then Carly's like, let's just go. Like if this isn't hitting for you, let's just get out of here. And so we left the conference within the first 5 minutes. We just didn't feel like a sense of um we felt like it missed something. So when I got to this, I was like, oh, there's a gift of discrimination. I'm like, huh,
shit, did I miss the point?
shit. Yeah. I was like thinking, I'm like, should I have stayed? Um,
uh,
and there was a level of vanity of like having the right way, like the right path, and like that's not right. Like so like
ah,
taking a different path and being like we said in the shadow, separate from your system, separate from your organization, separate, like, oh, I've differentiated myself enough.
mm,
I'm like, oh, I wonder if there's like value in just going through whatever it is. And that kind of speaks to like in the moment, just being in the moment and
mm,
allowing it to unfold. Maybe the lesson there was just getting triggered and allowing the trigger to kind of like wash through us and purify in
mm.
a sense.
But yeah, but it made me ask the question, how do you know when you're making the right choice for yourself in that moment? How do you know it was right or wrong?
Hmm.
It's already passed. You can't go back to it. But now, if that same thing happened, would you make a different choice?
Yeah, I think I would.
So
I
it's
think
the
I would
timing.
because of the
Is it
experience. Yeah, the timing.
the timing and the readiness of someone to
Hmm.
next, take on whatever that is next. I
There,
love that oh, go ahead.
just real quick, there is an element of like it felt good to kind of do like the whole fuck you. Like we stood up and walked out, and we had to walk past everybody. And people are just like, "What's going on? Why are the hippies leaving?" Um,
Keep
but all my life, I'm someone that it felt so good to me because I'm someone that like I paid for these tickets. I sat down for this. There's 3 more hours. I'm not going to embarrass myself and walk out in the middle of everybody. I would just sit and suffer. So there was
Oh,
an element of like, oh yeah, that felt really good. That was kind of nice. So I'm
mm,
sure in the moment, I'm sure the experience itself taught me everything I needed to know at that time, like a level of
yeah.
autonomy and being able to express and that sort of thing, and not repress and stuff it down and try to fit in.
Yeah. Now it's left is just a story.
Right.
You can either call it a missed chance or the right choice. You'll never know.
Hmm.
You'll never know what was it about.
Hmm.
I love that he's playing with words and messing up with us. And discrimination, we totally have a different definition of it. Discrimination is such a heavy word used
Yeah.
cross borders, cross culturally, cross religious. It's like it's very much like used as a threat, and it's almost like do not discriminate, do not do this. It's almost like you have feisty way. But in this case, he's actually using it as, but you should be choosing. And by your choice, by default, you're going to choose between two or three or five or seven of different choices. So if you choose one, you can't choose seven. The rest, the six other, you're actually discriminating against.
Right.
I said this a couple of weeks ago to someone, and I said, yeah, because I read this gift before. And I'm like, but yeah, it's discriminating is just making the choice. We just call it. No, why would you use it that way? But I tried to explain it and it didn't fit the mold correctly because I was not ready to explain it to that extent. It's almost like if you're choosing the art, of course you're going to discriminate the rest of the palette of the colors. And your color choices are going to be blue, green, and red. That's it.
Hmm.
So your discrimination itself is really showing you and teaching you how to use your authentic gift and what your calling is all about, or what you feel is your right authentic self and essence and your bone marrow.
Yeah.
I still talk about that bone marrow. It's almost like how do you know? You simply know deep down that that's your right choice. And in that moment, you probably, because the discrimination was a part, you discriminated the entire group and you left because it wasn't your choice. You
Yeah.
acted through the gift of discrimination. Is the moment you saw the word
Yeah. And
discrimination.
oh my God, thank you for saying that. There was an element of like, this is so ironic as I'm walking out because they're talking about discrimination. And it felt like in the moment, looking at everybody, like it just felt, is there a movie or something? There's like an image coming in of just like guys in suits and then just kind of feeling like you're different and feeling you're outcasted. And then they're talking about what is it? It's like they have to reveal the truth in order to trap you. Like they have to reveal the truth in order to trap you. And by doing so, everyone wants to fit in and look the part and be the part. And the first lesson is on discrimination. And it's like, huh, this would be a wild, fruitful act of discrimination to stand up and walk out. Maybe by doing so, someone in the audience thought, wow, I never would do that. I never would think for myself. I never would take
Mm.
that chance. And then it
Mm-hmm.
opened something for them. Maybe that's all it was. I don't know, who knows?
Yeah, maybe that's what made Bjork.
Oh my gosh, she's so beautiful. I've been listening to her music now and I'm just
But
loving it because before, like you said before, there was like a cringe factor, like why is she doing that or making those faces or whatever it is. But Bjork has she's got such style and ability to communicate through her facial expressions, through her voice. It's so powerful.
almost through her gift of very, it's so much of discrimination.
Yeah.
Because she doesn't give a fuck about what other people are doing. It's almost like this is me, and I'm gonna scream, and I'm gonna cry, and I'm gonna open my eyes. It's gonna go on top of my head. I'm gonna use all this freaking alienate like exorcism, and I'm gonna film it, and you're gonna hate it.
Yeah.
But that's me.
Hate it or
I
love it.
hated her. I hated her. I didn't hate her. I just didn't understand her, and she was so scary to me because I wasn't able to get to the level of appreciating her as an artist. But now when you pointed it out, I remember her song when I was a child, and it was like one of those just like screechy sound that didn't really sound like a song.
Yeah.
And I was just like, ew, ew. And I immediately just rejected.
Yeah.
But now you look at it, you're in awe because she's truly true to herself. And she speaks her authentic self, which is purely this gift.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, sidetrack, side question. Do you find coincidental that we kind of match the discrimination with Bjork? And we did this with almost every key. Something happened in life or something caught your attention that we were able to connect it. I did this with the book the other day. You remember?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
So it's wild.
Yeah,
It's
it's just it's like the examples are and I think that speaks to working through things with a friend. Hi, I have a visitor here, a little puppy.
who is it? Oh,
Can you say hi?
a little puppy. That's huge dog.
Big puppy.
Oh,
Hey, sweetie.
oh,
Okay, get down. Get down. I'm
is
doing
it he or
podcast.
she?
This is a he.
Oh,
Hika. Hika, get down. Hi. We adopted his sister, so he's smelling her all over me. And he's like, what's going on?
wait, you have a dog?
Yeah,
You just got a dog.
yeah. Today.
Congrats. What's today?
Today, yeah.
Just because.
Um, so speaking on that, like examples show up. Wow, she's persistent. He's persistent. Um, it's like you're working through it with a friend, and some weeks you'll find an example, and some weeks I'll find an example that will show up. Um, but it's at that level of we explore this at such a depth that I think it changes our cells and it introduces that quantum state of like, okay, let whatever
Yeah,
needs to fall in, fall in. And
agree.
it's I was listening to another artist and she was featured on one of Bjork's songs and I kind of ex like I find new artists now and there's something that's happening where I'm like I only listen to that artist for like a week or two. And so I used up the other person and then I was like, okay, now I'm gonna look at Bjork a little more and I put on her music video um and just let them play and let my 4-year-old watch with me. And he was just sitting there eating his dinner and he was like, that's weird. And I'm like, it is weird. I love it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she's hella weird, but so good.
Yeah.
So good. I like that. I like to see when people are true to themselves and when they use that voice. And at the training today, one of the things that he said is almost like when you have the class and you copy anybody else who taught you and you don't have your own sprinkle or your own
Mhm.
style on the top. And on top, when you do it because you're following the book and you don't do it from the heart because you really truly you love doing this.
Mhm.
It's like people will walk out of your class and never come back.
Yeah.
And both of them said it. And I'm like, I totally get this because I would be the first one to walk out if I don't see or feel that your authentic self, that
Yeah.
you like to speak. I used to have the teacher who would sing. She couldn't help herself. At the end of so you're saying in Shavasana, and she sings, her voice is angelic. And I just went for the voice because she couldn't help herself but not to add that um, signature on her own classes. So people do feel and see when you're not authentic self, which is why I really love when people tap into the gifts. I am in awe when I see the uniqueness of it and that speaks from the heart.
Mhm.
Now the question is how I'm going to figure out, well, it doesn't matter if to me, it doesn't matter if you're operating from the shadow or a gift or a CD level, but show your voice, show yourself, speak right, explain, explore your limits,
Yeah.
expand.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah. So it says, I wrote down here, it's what is the authentic self-expression? It is designed to spotlight that which is, oh, I'm sorry. Um, to person with this gift of discrimination, authenticity is everything. Everything.
Mhm. Yep.
It's a style of life. And it's often found through true art, the music, the language, dance, drama, and above all, love.
Mm. Mm.
And love meaning it is all about falling in love for this person. This is the human who human who oh sorry, this is human love with all its attendant drama, obsession, beauty, and danger.
Yeah, it's so interesting. It's like to so you're in the corporate world in California. So you have that word discrimination comes in and it's highly triggering for people. And
Yeah,
to bring it up and say, no, it's about loving, like when you fall in love. And people would be like, what the fuck are you talking about? Um,
yeah,
it's so interesting that he whatever was channeled through him through this gift, it's like totally unexpected.
yeah.
It's about art
The,
and heart and feeling the depth of your emotions and just getting into it. Like, wow,
yeah,
discrimination.
yeah, and to live in it with so much emotion, which is chaotic,
Hmm.
and it gets stirred up by
Hmm.
falling in love in everything, in you, in the other, in art, in candle, in food, in fruit. It's the way you express that love. And it's almost like you need this nurturing, you need this food to eat in order to really express yourself through it. So falling in love, because if I'm looking, whenever I fall in love, and it's not, well, whenever I have this feeling of it, we often say something chemically happens in our body when we we're freaking dumb. But not that we're dumb. We actually can do everything. You can move the mountains, go to Mars and back many
Mhm.
times every weekend, stop, jump it, jump ropes. You can do everything. You feel force in your body.
Mhm.
It's like
Mhm.
you give up on your life, all your routine goes bananas, your work doesn't matter, money doesn't matter, nothing matters.
Mhm.
Everything is just love. And the expression that comes from it, the you can do anything at that point. If you're capable of opening the business, you can build the empire on love.
Mhm. Mhm.
It's like that's how powerful it is because you have no fear whatsoever.
Mhm.
And when you don't have fear, you have a self-expression that it's on another level. It's almost like use it or lose it, how
Mhm.
I saw it. So this person with this gift will fall in love with everything around and use that as the gift of expression of art of himself.
Yeah. Cool.
So beautiful.
Hmm. He also mentions discrimination is about being attuned to a higher frequency, which means that it can metaphorically see through walls. Whenever a person is faking or has a concealed agenda, one with the gift of discrimination will immediately feel it as a deep discomfort. They do not fall in love with something, they distrust it. That the
Mm-hmm.
same goes for the people in their lives. To such a person, authenticity is everything. This part was like resonated so deeply for me.
Mm. Mm. Why?
Having a sense of like not trusting authority and teachers in school. And when I frame it with this, it was like, oh, so someone that showed up, like I did have teachers I loved, I really, really loved. Um, in high school, I had a creative writing teacher, and he stood out to me as being different than everyone else. And he taught creative writing, and he would use methods that were taught to him in college, but he came from this place of heart of like really trying to expand our ability to express ourselves individually. And to me, I'm like, this stands out to me versus when I go to English class or physics, like I know you're just going to lecture based on the chapter in the book. There's no authenticity. There's no like I did have physics teachers that had like a connection to the to what was being done or the lesson, and even that was different than, you know, the the archetype of like the teacher who's like chapter three, you know, just like dry and humorless and not enjoying themselves at all.
Hating what he's doing. So you're saying we can see through people's bullshit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
And
It
it's,
reminded me.
yeah, go ahead.
Mm. Reminded me of my professor. Your story reminded me of my professor, French professor, and I learned no word, no French word from her ever. And this is high school. You're talking. You passed through hundreds of them already. And now ask me. I don't remember any of them other than her. She smoked. Her hair was gray like this, like this. She was huge. She was a bag lady. She had like 7 bags here, 6 bags here, and she would just like enter the bus with bags first. So the door doesn't close. And then she would enter as a presence. Her bangs were under her eyes. She couldn't even see what she's wearing. So she would always go turn around like this. And she was fabulous. To this day, I still remember her authentic self-expression, but I didn't learn anything from her anyway.
So
French
what
wise,
was,
but
you kind of described her features. What was her energy like?
she was comic. She was she would just literally give us all F's and we would all laugh about it because we knew nothing. We thought we learned nothing from her. She was comic. Her energy was happy. And she yelled at us all the time, but we couldn't because she was a like really like funny person. And as such, she's a legend now. I get to tell a story about her, and everybody else, stayed behind, where and it was not remembered, right? I don't remember, but I remember vividly what she wore and how she acted and what was her personality. Because that she didn't give a damn that she's smoking and walking down the street. It's like, I don't know, like, what you looking at? It was
Yeah.
just wild, but the character for sure.
Yeah. Did she like awaken something for you? Like, did you feel a personal shift in just taking her class?
No, it was mandatory. But it was mandatory class, and for 4 years, I just know how to say bonjour, toujours, and that's it. Bonjour,
Yeah.
toujours. Um, but now, like now we talk about it. I don't know why she came to my mind, but I
Yeah.
appreciate her authenticity now and difference because when somebody is just so true to themselves, it's just admiring. It's very, it's beautiful, and because the part of me wanted to be that as well
Hmm.
and wanted to find what authentic self is and become so strong in it that nothing is unshakable. And she was just that in her older age. And, it's like nobody could say anything. And she smelled like cigarettes all the time. And she freaking didn't give a damn about it. And it's like to not care so much about it and just be true you. And I
Yes.
don't know, uh, imagine being I don't know, on Coachella. Coachella is happening now on the weekends
Yeah.
here in like LA. It's like imagine being on Coachella having a main stage performance and in the middle of the song you decide to burp.
Yeah.
It's
Right.
amazing to me. It's like just do it.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah. Well,
Easy said than
I
done
think
though.
artists in general are closer to that level of authenticity. It's probably harder with is Coachella electronic music or is it just all music?
It's art. I mean, it's Frank. I don't know if Frank Ocean is there. It's not electronic music. It's actually artsy, more
Like
artsy.
indie alternative. Okay.
Mm, mm.
Yeah, I think that type of environment you're going to be surrounded by this gift, this
Yeah,
ability to express. Yeah.
it almost feels like the only way to express it, to be okay for being weird,
Hmm.
is really through art. So when
Hmm.
you fall in that category, no one really cares to judge. You're just
Yeah.
it and you appreciate it. But I mean, why can't we be weird in a corporate as well?
Yeah. Well, that brings up a good point. Why has art been pushed out of a corporate environment or a political environment?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Why? Because
Oh, why?
because I think by being an individual that they can't control or have influence over.
Yeah. Or they can't tell. Yeah, they can't, they don't have influence over. They can't tell you what to do.
Hmm.
You are untamed,
Hmm.
wild, which is true nature of all of us.
Yes. Awaken your wildness.
And unfortunately, you won't make any money off of it. But oh gosh,
Wh-
okay, I can't
Yeah.
go that way. I can't go that rabbit hole because it's almost like art. No one really appreciates the art anymore. They don't really know where
Well,
did it. No, no
this
one.
is,
Okay, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, this has always been the case. I mean, there's artists, beautiful artists like Salvador Dali. He made no money until after he was dead. And then his art sold like crazy.
Yeah,
There's so many artists.
with his clock. Yeah, but he
Hmm.
was also crazy. I think he loved Hitler.
Yeah.
Did he?
I don't know. I thought he
There's
was I thought he was pre. But anyway, just to speak on like writers and like some of the best books that have ever been written, they weren't found until after their death. It's just the nature of.
I was just about to say too, is that the art that lasts is legendary masterpieces. It's almost never done for the artist at that time. It's almost always recognized after the
Hmm.
artist is gone.
Hmm. And I think it's like the artist moves at the level of this quantum experience of this of discrimination, of love, and
Mm.
for the collective to catch up, it takes decades and sometimes centuries. So,
Mm.
but
Like the future brought to present.
yeah, I think music kind of taps something in people's hearts that they can't explain. That's why it works so quickly. Because I think it's one of the it's one expression of art itself that can work during the artist's time that they're living, I think.
Mm.
Or at least I
But
guess we wouldn't know until we'd have to see in 100 years, right?
yeah, and speaking of this gift specifically, it's like, have you ever had when you write your poems and you
Mhm.
write them from the state of emotional state of mind,
Yeah. Yeah.
you write them because you're right, because you don't have any way to express what you're feeling other than metaphorically speaking or using the limited words to express what it is that you're feeling. But if you were to write a book because the publisher is saying you only have 6 months to write it, what do you think will come out? That
Yeah.
art is different.
Yeah, very different. Regimented and you know, trying to fit the mold, right? It's and you can taste the authenticity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Emily Nagoski is one of those artists or writers, and I really like her. I actually went to see her couple weeks ago. She did the book tour here for the second book. And one of the things that she said, first book was Come As You Are, which is very much about herself and her femininity and her sexual exploration. It was beautiful. It's like total, wow. I keep reading and like highlighting, and I was like, wow, this is so good. I'm expecting another one to come in so strong. The second one that came in was called Come Together. And what she was saying is that, look, I'm writing book about sex, and I've been writing it for a year and a half, and did not have a sex for a year and a half. Like, this is how stressed out I was because I had to do all of these things. Plus I had to take out a lot of things from what I actually wanted to read. So I'm like, oh, so you didn't really write from your artist's ways. You wrote it because you were told you have to, and you completed, you had a due time. So you couldn't even express it from that state of heart of your right side of your brain, where you really don't think, you're just literally just downloading the information.
Yes.
So
So to double
unfortunately.
tap that real quick, this poem that came through, I just recently been listening to what's his name? Goodness. Rick Rubin. He's
Mm,
a legendary music producer. And he gave the advice of like if you're singing, just sing and just scat, just make up words. And what will come out will be it'll have elements of the structure that's coming through, that's kind of channeling through that right brain. And with writing, you just free write and eventually
mm-hmm.
it'll come through. And I had this, so I was triggered in the moment and I'm like, oh, I'm really pissed off. I normally I want to solve the issue immediately. And I'm like, instead, I think I'm just gonna give space to it and allow this to come through in a poem. And I had like two lines that came through in the right brain, I'm assuming. And I read them to like I heard them and my initial reaction was those are those are stupid. That is so dumb. It sounds like every other poem. Like I started comparing and judging and doing, and I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna write it and see what happens. And it was only 4 lines in that it just it just flowed, and it was done in I think about 12 minutes. And it's a long poem, and I was like, okay, perfect. This is how I know there's authenticity here. There's a
Yeah,
level of I wasn't present for the writing of this poem.
yeah, yeah. It's so real and so true, and it comes out of blue. You never plan it, and you
Mhm.
don't know what's going to trigger it. It's almost like the portals can open out of blue just because you're looking at the candle,
Yeah.
or you're pissed, or you have trigger, or you have buttons that something presses it. But if
Mhm.
we don't allow it to come out, is that you never get to see this side of you. Often I read what I wrote and I can't believe that I wrote it, and
Mhm.
I'm like, this is not mine, not 3D mine.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good for you. Bam,
Bam. Thank you.
bam. I'm in yin pose the other day and last week actually, and I'm sitting and doing a child's pose or down dog, whatever that I did, and I had the vision,
Hmm.
huge, beautiful vision. This girl with black curls, beautiful, gorgeous, in the slow motion with strobing lights passing through her. And I'm like sitting in the downtown. I was like, girl, where did you come from? I had this huge urge to write about her.
Mhm.
Huge. And I wrote a beautiful, beautiful description of just her moving
Mhm.
slow motion and inviting me to come into her aura. And how I wrote it, I was like, this is so good. The
Mhm.
night I'm going to the live music here on the block, behind the block here, and we're just like listening to the music. And there's this artist that we always usually go and we see, and he is indie type of artist, really soft voice, and always talks about heartbreaks and beautiful women. I was like, I think those lyrics are for you. I have to send this to you, and you do whatever you want. And he's like, those are so good. I was like, you can whatever. It's like it just came, and they're so like bam, 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 bam. You drop the pen, and you're like, what just
Yeah.
happened?
Watch you start teaching yoga and you have these epiphanies and visions come through and you become a writer for local artists. You're like, I write
Right.
music and I teach yoga and I do jinkies
And
and
a little bit of sex, a little bit of
yeah.
the relationship with self and others, and the I don't know. What do we know? I don't even want to know what's gonna happen in the future. I just want to kind of journey it through.
Mm,
If you had
beautiful.
someone tell you what you're gonna be 5 years from now, would you want to know?
It depends to what depth, because I think there could be like a playful way to do that.
But don't you think it's a setup?
Yeah, of course.
Setup
But that's
meaning
that's what's playful.
if Nostradamus came to you and told you you only have 79 years to live, example, and by this time you're gonna already be an oracle on your own. Do you think it's a trick for your mind that will just steer their way anyway?
Yeah,
I
there's
don't
an
want
we experienced this firsthand because Carly had a psilocybin assisted vision of her death in 8 years,
to.
which was 2 years ago. So we're counting down now, 6 years. And it was in Hawaii, and that led us to moving here. And we've been back and forth about like, was that real? Could it be real? And like, no, it's not real. Or sometimes we accept it. We're like, it is real. And let's just live as if it were real. And it allows us to be more present in that moment. Now, I don't know if saying 79 years would do have the same effect, but there is an element of like
Time here is limited.
making your death real, like making your death real and being, and this came up in the city here in Purity, is dying to yourself. And if you've done that, then you're pure. That's the only way to do it. The difference between the shadow and the vanity, you have this sense of ego still.
Okay, well, great leeway to it. So, what does it mean to be swallowed by the void in the purity
Hmm.
to you? But wait, I have to go back. I'm sorry.
Sure.
But you mean like okay, so you mean like you two shifted the way you're living life, thinking, believing, feeling, or feeling that there's only this much left.
Because we are revisiting often. Hold on, I gotta kick out this dog. He's so persistent. Come on, buddy. Okay. It's a bit hard to podcast when I'm wrestling a dog. Um, the yeah, because we revisit often her experience and whether it was real or not, we there's layers of unfolding that happens. Like it just keeps growing and deepening, and so there's an emotional layer of like letting go. There is the worry and the stress about what we'll do. Like for me personally, like, okay, I'll have 3 kids, I'll have responsibilities, I won't have a partner. So it's just a layer, it's just like continual letting go. And
Mm,
much like when we work with these shadows here, we think we've dealt with them and then they'll come back up and it'll come back up. It might have a different way it comes up, or you might see it more clearly the second time. But uh,
mm,
I'm grateful for what it is and the level of seriousness that she gave it, because without that, I guess threat is the word. I don't think we would have evolved as much.
mm.
Yeah.
And may I ask, is that the physical or the ego?
Well,
I mean, it can
that's
be,
something we've wrestled with, right?
ah,
Initially, she took it as a very real physical death, and she
mm,
she sought the advice of other, you could call them like guides or people that have a little more spiritual knowledge, and they they were guided or told to tell her that it was real. So we took it as real as it could be. I mean, that's what led us to moving here to Hawaii, and
mm,
um, yeah, a lot has changed since before that time. It's
mm,
I think we're like we hold percentages. It's like 80% it was just an ego death, 10% it's a real death, 10% nothing happens at all, and it was just kind of a trick or something. I don't know.
mm. It almost makes me feel like to live with it behind it. It's almost like to know that you're living with some sort of shadow as well. It can get heavy unless you know how to accept it and let go.
Yeah. Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, lots of swimming in the ocean and things that help you be present. That's the only way to help with that.
Yin.
The yin.
Yin yang.
Yeah.
Damn, I never knew. Thanks for sharing.
Hmm.
Mm.
So your question, oh, what does it
Okay.
mean to be swallowed by the void? Goodness, it's a very deep question. Um,
What is the void? Black hole,
yeah,
cosmos.
it's the it's the place to me. It's the place within that exists where nothing exists, and paradoxically, in the nothing, it explodes out into everything. It's just how I understand it. But
Mm. He's mentioning here. Have you ever heard the word hyperspace?
haiku space,
Hyperspace.
hyperspace. Yeah.
The edge of the hyperspace.
Mm.
Like it can be so big.
Mm.
Like I don't understand it differently other than just empty silence, spaceless space actually, where you just exist and you're just 360 turning around and there's nothingness.
Hmm.
But being swallowed by it.
Right.
So it's almost like if 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 this is what it is, then your yearning for true love is in reality the lower frequency of a permanent state existing at the higher level of consciousness. What?
Wow.
At the lower
Yeah.
frequency of a permanent state existing at the higher level of consciousness. So if the
Yeah.
consciousness at the higher level has its own lower levels at the higher level, then the true love that you're seeking for yourself is stuck at the high level, but the first line of it or first step of it.
Hmm. Yeah. It speaks to the depth of what's possible and explains why we yearn for it. right? Because it's like the void it's a place of pure potential and it speaks to the purity. Um, and it's paradoxical too. Like we wouldn't think by like really the yearning for love that we're seeking, it almost feels like grabbing everything, pulling it in, being grabbed by everything, being absorbed by everything, which kind of is like a black hole. It's like being sucked into this density, swallowed. And interesting that he uses the word swallow because it kind of denotes the throat chakra. This is a tough one for me to
Yeah, yeah.
again.
I almost feel like my brain is trying really hard to expand to this, to
Yeah.
understand it. It's like I feel like it's like, trying and it's coming back. It's trying and it's coming back. I feel the tension of it.
Yeah.
It's okay. Only the higher mind, which is another expression for our heart, can begin to understand the true purity. I guess you and I are not there. Of course, we're not there. Only the higher mind.
Which is another expression of the heart, the true
Mm.
heart. Hmm.
Oh, I love how all the roads lead to heart.
Through heart. Mhm.
Okay, through
Yeah.
heart.
And the what is it? The I'm mixing up some religious things. The Kabbalion, the
Mm,
first law, I think, is the universe is mental. And
mm,
initially, when I found the Kabbalion, I'm like, the universe is mental. It seems a little cold, a little masculine, a little, I didn't have that feminine flair, but now this adds to it. It's the higher mind is actually, and the higher mind being like all is mental, is the higher expression of the true heart, meaning even the mind itself, the mental nature of reality is heart-based. It's not what we think
mm,
of as our mind.
mm. That makes me think of living in this dimension that we're in, which is very mind driven. It's almost like how much of a mind I have to let go in order to move and understand the next layer of it,
Mhm.
which is through the heart. And we get the glimpses of it. Like in this reality, we get the glimpse of what it feels to be so heart and often to come from the heart or be expressed from the heart rather than using your mind all the time. It's almost like a tease.
Yeah.
It's like, why are you teasing me with strawberry chocolate when you know I'm diabetic, right? So it's like, I can't have it. And yet you're just like showing me through dreams, giving me these ideas. I'm taking a shower, I'm having downloads. Like, why when I can't have it all?
Mm.
Whew, this
Have
one is
you,
hard.
yeah. Have you had experiences of the void?
There's one moment that comes to my mind, a moment, and I was conscious about it. But yet everything stopped. I was crossing the street. It was a very busy street. Suddenly, I just entered some space where, did I tell you about this?
Mm. No.
Left and right, no cars, no birds, no wind, no sound. Everything stopped. Everything was not moving. And I'm entering and I'm passing the street and I'm looking around. I'm not thinking. I just passed through something. Passed through a space. It
Mm.
was not living, but yet I was conscious about it. I just moved around and I was like, what the hell? It was just an empty moment. And that to me reminds me of a void because, but I'm thinking is like something was just like deleted, removed, non existent. And that was the moment. And I don't know what it was. I just know I was shocked by the possibility that something like that existed.
Hmm. Do you,
You?
what did you feel like? What did
I
it
was
feel like?
scared.
Did you feel like you're dying?
No, I was confused and scared.
Oh,
I was shocked. Wasn't prepared for it. I expected the chaos and ambulance cars and, like birds and poop and dogs and people
honking
yelling at
and
each
yeah,
other.
yeah.
But it was nothing in that right moment. And it was the entire time while I was passing the street down, and I was just so aware of it.
Hmm. Wow.
Have you experienced the void?
Well, nothing like that, but to me there is a space in meditation of like true letting everything go, and it is black and it is empty. Um, and actually I had experiences as a young child where as I'm falling asleep, being conscious of I think the best way to describe it is to kind of give you the picture because it's only visual. And what it was I'm in my room, I have the sense of my body in my bed, and then it would feel like with withdrawing. My consciousness was going back, like behind my head, and then withdrawing. And if I could relax into it, it would withdraw very, very far, where my room would be, I don't know how to measure space in that place, but it was like everything else is black, and I could see like a little light of my room. And I could
Hmm.
feel like in my heart that my body's over there and I'm very far away. And this is like a recurring thing. And I thought it was just like I tell my parents about it and they're like, "Oh, it's an interesting dream." And I'm like, it's not a dream. And that
So
would
to
happen
you,
on the
that,
phone, like while I'm talking, it can happen too. Like if I'm very relaxed. So to me,
mm,
that's kind of like I'm playing in that space. I don't know.
yeah,
I don't have the full idea of what that is or experience yet, but
yeah, definitely feels like empty, dark. Your thoughts are not there. You're not there. Your eyes are just looking.
yeah, it was not even it's like a fixed, it's so hard to describe. It's like if you're on your computer and you zoom out on something like a map. That's what it felt like zooming out. So
Mm,
it's like fixed. It's not moving around.
mm,
It's just zooming out and then it's just empty black around everything. And then
mm,
feeling like the heart is the one that's zooming out and then my mind, my voice, my body is the one that's staying there. So I could be talking, but have this feeling like I'm very, very far away.
mm.
It's very beautiful, and I'm like very grateful that I got to experience that because I think it helped me be different and feel like, feel like there's a sense of beyondness that we haven't tapped into, or at least no one's talking about it. So why shouldn't we do some exploration?
Yeah, beyondness. I
Mm.
like it. Yeah. Okay. So, in the CD Purity, he talks about the heart a lot here and
Yeah.
I think to experience such a pure love for everyone. You good?
Yeah, I'm trying to look for a light.
Yeah, you're kind of getting
I'm fading
you're
out.
you're
I'm going
you're
into the
getting
void.
yeah, you're getting swallowed by the void, Eric.
Um, okay. There's a light behind me now.
Yes. So he goes, beneath the layers of karma, ancestral fear, and inevitable childhood conditioning beats an aspect of the great universal heart. It is white beyond white, and it is you that you cannot help but fall in love with, which
Come
is
on.
the essence of pure love. I almost wondered if you when you exited your body and you saw yourself in the void, far away. If you, I don't know, maybe waited a little bit longer, maybe you can find you.
Yeah,
Imagine if you suddenly realize who you are in that void and you're like, oh my God, I love you so much.
yeah. Well,
I
to
love
me
you so much.
that wow. To me, like hearing this and hearing accounts of quote unquote enlightenment from gurus, it sounds the same. It sounds like you're in a place that's similar to the void and you just deepen into it. You just like surrender with such a level of heart that's just profound and wild and crazy. And then it's an explosion of white and you see, like you said, you see yourself. Yeah.
It's like Sadhguru, he has his story. He's talking like suddenly 13, I just sat on this chair in the middle of the streets and I don't know, whatever. And 13 days later, I woke up and everybody thought
Yeah.
like 13 days later, I didn't eat, I didn't poop, I didn't do anything. I
Yeah,
just
yeah.
woke up and like came back from the void back in this realm.
Yeah.
The fact that it can actually happen like that out of blue is like so cool.
Yeah.
Don't you
Yeah.
think it's awesome? It can hit you tomorrow. And you'd be like, where's Eric? Every weekly calls is done. Like 13 weeks later, you're like coming as this. Oh, I wouldn't be surprised.
There's an element of like as we're talking about the city, don't you feel the shadow now, like the vanity? We talk about enlightenment and like attaining and all this stuff.
Yeah. The fact that they work and pull each other back and
hmm
forth. Here's the good one. It says, with vanity, your lower self falls in love with itself.
hmm
With purity, the higher self falls in love with itself.
hmm Yeah.
You're constantly going back.
hmm Oh, it's
And
so
you're in love
beautiful.
with self.
Yeah.
Lower, higher, you name it. You're in love with self
Right.
in this game.
So beautiful. I really love this one. I really, really love this one.
Yeah, I feel like it's becoming harder and harder as we continue.
hmm
Okay, what else you got here? I have so much highlighted here. Okay, let's go.
I'll let you go.
This is the one I put hearts on. It goes, however, the very moment you view anything in a negative way, this presence within you will instantly vanish. In language, purity becomes poetry. In thought, purity becomes essence.
Mm. Mm.
Poetry, 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 poetry.
Mm.
Uh, Unsure is it accidental or on purpose, but in the last weeks I've been reading poetry, and it's like because of the limitations of the expressions of self. And I hated poetry before. It was so boring, so
Yeah.
boring. I hate fiction, for the matter of fact, and don't have one book that it's fictional because it's like, no, I need facts. Show me the facts. I need something that it's real, that had happened, so I can trust it and I can believe in it. But I wonder, maybe that's my limit of my, this is how I limit my mind, because my imagination cannot think outside the box now. It just thinks for what it had happened already, what someone else's experience was in the past. And you go back in the past, but I don't develop, I don't explain, I don't think as poetry, I don't think philosophically. But why not? I'm not allowing myself. So that I put the hearts here because I think it's beautiful. And I also think it comes with the time in life and the seasons too. As our understanding of self, or the body itself, or your mind and your capacity, your capabilities, and how much more you can do, it's like you really open up your floodgates to, woo, I can actually, other than this form, I can be much more. I can take
hmm
a larger space if I allow myself to expand to that extent,
Mm.
which can also short circuit your nervous system if you're not ready to deal with it. So,
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. You bring that up too.
But
Like the nervous system not being attuned yet or ready to take it in. I think it speaks to the value in having a practice that's physical and preparing your body and allowing the body to attune to the natural evolution that's happening.
yes, all of us, body, soul, mind,
Hmm.
rather than us really trying really hard to reach to these states, do everything that we can in our power. It's like just enjoy a little bit of a shadow,
Yeah.
a little more.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, one more. Words used poetically and vibrated within the chambers of the heart have the power to pierce through the layers of fear that envelop the hearts of others. I mean, what else can say? See these? There's no need to say anything else.
Hmm. Yeah, I'm remembering in the shadow talking about the differentiation in like the loves, the two loves that we have, and how we relate to ourselves and how that comes in. And it's interesting that poetry kind of unlocks this higher state of love. And I think it points to there's something about reading poetry where you can't be contemplating the future and you can't be worried about the future and you can't be ruminating about the past because it comes in a way that's you it's like you have if it's true poetry, if it's authentic, it grasps you and it requires your full attention. It's amazing.
Mhm.
It's so powerful.
Yeah, it locks you.
Hmm.
It leaves you speechless.
Hmm.
No explanations needed about it.
Hmm.
It reminded me when I was doing this training this weekend, and when you meet different people, new people in life, it's like everybody has something that they stand for, they identify with. I'm
Yeah.
either a chiropractor, or I'm a this teacher, I'm a this practitioner, or I have my PhD in this and this, and I'm like, fuck do I identify myself with?
Yeah.
Like I'm just so we are going in a circle and everybody's saying their names and what they're doing, and I'm like, I I I'm just here. Like I literally couldn't identify. I was like, what the fuck do I identify with? Like what suits me? So you can accept me.
Yeah.
So we ended up having a break and I'm talking to this chiropractor lady and I'm explaining and she's like, oh, this pose is really good for this and this nervous system and like I do the acupuncture and I was like, oh, that's so cool. So and she's like, I'm noticing people are explaining people, she said people are explaining are really coming with a lot of pain, but also emotional pain that it's stuck in the body. Example, if your hip is hurting, that means something is wrong with if your left hip is hurting, something is wrong with your right shoulder. And I found that fascinating. I was like, really, can you explain more? Because that's exactly what my left shoulder does. That mean my right hip is off. And you know what I noticed? Her energy. Every time I try to add something philosophical or saying, are you noticing more women or males coming in and not being able to express themselves? So what is the commonality, right? So tell me more. She was not there.
Yeah.
She was not there because I didn't identify with anything and she couldn't believe me. She couldn't trust me that I am somebody because I don't have identification.
Yeah.
Right? It's like I'm not PhD, I'm not a doctor or chiropractor or acupuncturist. I don't have a private practice. I don't do these things. And as such, she didn't trust me. And she wasn't even interested in hearing what I have to say. And I'm like, huh, I guess the self-identification is a big deal.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like it's a bias, self-affirming bias. It's an ego protection mechanism of okay, what degree do you have or what's your training or what's your background? And you'll
It's a
notice
real
that
thing.
yeah,
Yeah.
and it's not everybody, but certain people really, really get stuck there.
Mm.
Um,
Mm.
that's interesting. I think I shared this with you. I have a book that's psychological meanings. Messages from the body is what it's called, and it's like psychological meanings behind your symptoms.
Hmm.
So like left hip is trying to remember. There's things for every ailment you could think of. Like Luca has a left ear infection, and it shows up as I don't want to hear it. I don't want to face this internal voice that's coming in. And then right ear infection is I'm blocking out messages from other people. I don't want to hear it from other people. Whereas the left is internal. And this, like, I've been loosely studying for 2 years now, and I'm starting to notice the patterns. And it's profound how much
Mm.
our psychology, our mental, the universe is mental, is tied in with our physiology and how we show up in the world and what we bring to the world. And it's also tied in with trauma that we experience as children. And um, the gene keys are huge in this too. I see the same patterns in the gene keys.
Yeah. So you're saying the book is really beneficial for you to understand if you how your body speaks psychologically.
Yeah, and the chiropractor was saying like she saw patterns like left hip, right shoulder,
Mm.
but it's like if you read left hip, right shoulder, there's a relationship there psychologically, and it points to the same trauma or the same experience
Ah.
typically.
Huh.
And if you can map someone based on symptoms, you could you could figure out everything that's been done to them or happened to them or all of their protective responses to life.
Damn.
Yeah, it's very, very interesting. But I to kind of close out this gene key, you mentioned like, oh, I wanna have someone with the 12. I want to have someone with the 12 to see it. Are you actively asking people if you can profile them? No, I haven't
At
either.
work, yeah, at work. So actually, last Friday, now this Friday, I read someone's Gene Keys because we I have this Edge of the Universe corner where I sit with my coworker. We're not even in the same department. We don't work at all together, whatever, whatsoever. But he is tarot reader, and whenever he feels he needs to bring the tarot cards, which I never ask for, I often ask for him to read me. He's like, I knew it. And so he is huge on synchronicities. His keys are 51, 52, 53, 54.
Oh,
Like,
really?
pa, 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 pa. And I'm like, what? I look at his keys, it's all 40s, 50s, and 60s. I was like, you're all the way up there. Like, what in the world? And then he was talking. I introduced him to other case studies, and he just started like going on like huge journey. So whenever people come in to visit, which we have a low desks, it's not like typical high desk, so everybody can hear us and see us.
Mhm.
It's almost like they knock on an invisible door at the edge of the universe, and they all enter into this energy. So me and him go on Friday because nobody's there on Fridays, and
Oh,
I just read his keys, and I was like, but I need to read to you and I need to just look at it. And how I read it to you, I started smirking and smiling because I can see them in him. And he's like, oh, I have a lot to do when I go home. You gave me a different perspective. I knew I had to come to work, but to shorten my story, when people are interested or ask me something, I philosophically tie back so many different things, including natal charts and gene keys together. And if they're open to read it, I would. But at work, I don't push it. They just
mhm.
ask, like, oh, I don't know. Somebody was like, I'm manifesting. Somebody just came to me and was like, I'm manifesting Coachella tickets for $200. They're like three, five, six
Yeah.
hundred dollars. I was like, and she's like, I'm getting them. I was like, oh, that's great. How do you know? Of course I'm gonna ask. Like, I don't care about Coachella. I care about manifesting. How do you know you're gonna get there?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
she's like, well, I've been doing this, and then I dive into it. And but this way, I lead them to see are they even open to think outside the box. Who cares for Coachella tickets? Like, I don't really care. By the way, I got it for $200, and I went back to her and was like, I have it. Do you want it? She's like, too late. I don't want it. I was like, okay, fine. But by the way, you manifested it for whatever reason. If that means anything to you.
You got some for 200?
Hmm.
Wow.
I didn't go.
You're like, if she can do it, I can do it. Why, what made you not want to go?
Being club.
Oh yeah, right.
Like I'd rather invest in self than express. I mean, waste the time. But yeah, I've been, so it's not no biggie. But
Hmm.
do you do this for people?
I've had people ask me, and yeah, I'm trying to be careful about the energy, like you said. Like I want someone to really be eager,
Ooh, yeah.
because there's an element that it can be painful. So when you pull someone's, shadows out and you're like, "Oh, do you struggle with this?" And they're like, I don't want to talk to you anymore." I'm just trying to be um use discrimination, I guess.
Well, well, closure is really good. So I like it. I like this one. This one was really like good
Yeah,
one.
yeah, this is nice. Thank you for your time today.
Thank you. We ended up doing it for 2 hours. Our talks are longer and longer. Anyway, we should shorten it or
Well, I'm using this for myself and I'm enjoying it. So you can tell me and I will obey. Obviously, I won't have a choice, but you let me know.
so I knew that this is just going to be the free flow. I'm just noticing that from an hour and a half, an hour and 15 minutes. Now it's 2 hours. It's
Yeah.
2 hours. If we get to 22 or 23 and 55, this is going to be like 3 week worth of
Yeah, we
exploration.
could we could do that. We could split them up. That might be a smart way to
The
do it.
longer ones.
Hmm.
Yeah, no, I'm enjoying it too. I think it's a good it's a good way to close the week, I guess.
Right. All right.
Woo!
Ooh, beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Till next time. Hey! I got the balloons.